Revealed. 3 divine mistakes this October that could sabotage your spiritual awakening. ACT now. Mary Wainwright stood at the doorstep of St. Michael's, her heart pounding with the anxious rhythm of her faith. It was October, and the village seemed cloaked in a mystical fog, whispering secrets of ancient blessings and forgotten prayers. Glimpsing friends through the old oak doors, a troubling sight met her eyes, their heads bowed, not in reverent prayer, but in distracted chatter, their spirits dulled by the mundane. Were they not to seek the divine, especially now, when autumn invited reflection? A flicker of unease swept through her as she remembered voices once filled with unwavering hope. "This can't continue," she whispered to herself, her own spiritual flame flickering in the growing shadow. She felt that something was amiss in their closely knit community. Had they misplaced their devotion amidst trivial concerns? It was as if a veil hung over them, obscuring the radiant light of Christ's mercy. As days passed, a perplexing despair settled in. News rippled through the congregation like the chilling breeze. Her youngest son, James, had fallen gravely ill. The doctors were uncertain, and anxiety gripped Mary. Visions of joyful prayer circles flooded her mind. Those sacred gatherings had once sparked miracles among them. Panic enveloped her heart as she pondered this second divine mistake. Were they truly forgetting the power of their combined prayers? Had they allowed the creeping fog of doubt to dim their faith? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Days turned into tumultuous weeks, and the earth beneath her felt unsteady when another blow echoed through their sanctuary. Their beloved pastor, a beacon of unwavering hope, succumbed to despair, questioning his very purpose. Murmurs of doubt swirled around the village. Their fragile faith began to shatter under the weight of uncertainty. Mary realized the third mistake: their unity had crumbled, leaving each soul alone to battle their doubts. Determined to invoke change, she organized a candlelit gathering within the ancient stone walls of St. Michael's, where history had breathed throughout centuries. The night arrived, and the chapel shimmered with flickering flames, revealing the weary faces of her fellow parishioners. "Let us confront these divine mistakes together," she urged, her voice quivering with conviction. In that moment, those candles became beacons of hope, a guide through the mist that had settled upon them. As their voices rose in fervent prayer, Mary felt an exhilarating warmth envelop the room. Was it the breath of the Holy Spirit? Miracles had begun to unfold, stirring faith where once there was none. Yet, as dawn approached, a lingering silence wrapped around her heart, and desperation crept back in. They prayed for healing. They prayed for strength. Would their faith be enough to break the chains of doubt and despair they faced? Would they recognize the miracle that dawned just outside? In the hushed reverence of that sacred chapel, a crackle of divine energy pulsed in the air. The lessons were layered beneath the fog. Would they be faithful enough to seek, trust, and embrace what awaited? The dawn broke gently, its light casting warm hues across the chapel's stained glass windows. Mary stood, heart still racing, knowing today brought a choice to believe despite the darkness that loomed. The flicker of candles now lay dim, yet the embers of faith glowed deeper than ever within her. As the soft morning light filled the room, she looked around at the familiar faces, worn and heavy with uncertainty. How could she reignite the spark that once set their souls ablaze? With each whispered prayer, she sensed the weight of their struggles. Their voices had faltered, but Mary understood. Sometimes faith feels fragile, like a flame on the verge of extinguishing. "Today, I ask you to remember," she began, the words tumbling forth with a fervent passion. Remember the moments we have shared when heaven reached down and touched us. We must remind ourselves of the truth that binds us. A cry of agreement stirred among the congregation, faint yet hopeful. From the back, a familiar face, Marjorie, raised her hand. Mary, I've been struggling. I allowed the fear to hold me back. But I still believe in prayer. Can we share our burdens? The sound of solidarity echoed, igniting a crescendo of voices that affirmed their desire to connect. Let your burdens be known, Mary implored, her voice steady. We are a tapestry of faith, woven together by love and trust in our Savior. Let us unearth the power of our joined hearts. One by one, they began to share stories of loss, hope, and the quiet victories they forgot to celebrate. With each testimony, a wave of energy surged, swirling like the autumn leaves outside. In that sacred moment, the fog that had clouded their spirits began to lift. The Sisterhood of the Light, a group of vibrant women in the congregation, stepped forward, lighting candles anew, symbolizing renewed hope. Their voices intertwined as they sang softly, a melody that wove through the very foundations of the chapel, an offering of love laid at the feet of grace. And then came the moment that would change everything. Mary felt a warmth envelop her, a divine assurance that whispered, I am with you. She closed her eyes, surrendering her worries and doubts, inviting the Holy Spirit to fill the void left by despair. A deep breath and hold release. In that sacred inhale-exhale rhythm, a collective moment of unity blossomed. Cries arose as James, her son, who had been bedridden, stepped hesitantly into the chapel. Hope billowed through the air, tangling with disbelief as the congregation gasped. Surely, this was a miracle unfolding before them. His pale face turned bright with life, and laughter bubbled forth despite the lingering illness. A wave of joy washed over them, a reflection of Christ's unwavering love poured out for their fractured hearts. I can feel him, James declared, eyes wide and vibrant. I felt him calling me to come here, to be with you. Tears flowed freely, mingling with laughter as relief cascaded through the room. Mary's heart melted, a cascade of gratitude swelling within her chest. Yet, even amidst the triumph, Mary sensed the emergence of a new challenge. With resurrection came responsibility, and she could feel the weight of expectation rising. What now? She pondered silently, an ache of uncertainty still tickling her spirit. How could they maintain this newfound energy? Would this miracle stir the hearts of the doubtful, or would they return to apathy as the moment faded? Mary looked at her community, a fresh resolve stirring within her. This is just the beginning. As conversations surged, plans began to blossom. But a breeze flitted through the open windows, filled with whispers of divine mystery, beckoning her to deeper understanding. What divine purpose awaited them next? What transformations would be born from their rekindled faith? The tapestry was not yet complete. The new chapter had begun, and Mary could feel the pull of the divine, urging her onward into the journey of unknown revelations. Little did she know, an awakening was stirring beyond their village, waiting for the moment to unfold. The sun climbed higher, filling the chapel with a radiant glow that mirrored the warmth in Mary's heart. There was a laughter in the air, fresh and unbound. Yet something whispered of the journey ahead, an uncharted path that lay just beyond their grasp. Mary gazed at the congregation, now buzzing with renewed life. Little groups formed as people exchanged hopes and dreams, their voices a comforting hum like a gentle stream. The chapel, once a sanctuary of doubt, now felt like a beacon of light. Yet each smile held a flicker of fear. A question left unspoken: would they be able to sustain this spark of faith when darkness threatened to creep back in? Just then, an elderly gentleman, Mr. Harris, approached her. His once vibrant eyes were clouded with worry. "Mary," he began, voice trembling slightly, "I've seen many seasons come and go, yet this doubt lingers deeper than ever. How do we keep this faith alive? The world, it seems, so heavy. A hush fell over the nearby groups as they tuned into the vulnerable exchange. Mary took a breath, looking into his eyes, every wrinkle telling a story of a life walked in faith but dotted with hardship. "Mr. Harris," she replied, her voice steady with conviction, "faith isn't about never wavering. It's about standing firm, even when the winds howl. We're not called to be perfect, just willing. Remember the high tide, how it ebbs but always returns. We are like that. In moments of struggle, we rise with each wave, fueled by love and grace." A supportive murmur threaded through the crowd, as if Mary's words were the balm they had all been yearning for. A group of young adults to her left tightened their circle, sharing stories of their battles against doubt, while others quietly nodded, soaking in the realization that they were not alone. "Together, we create paths," Mary continued, "paths filled with hope and closeness. Share not just your burdens, but your victories, however small they may be. Every act of faith is a testimony to God's goodness. Let us bear witness to his love by living it out." The congregation shifted, a collective agreement rippling through them, like a choir beginning to sing a familiar hymn. A sweet scent wafted through the air, a reminder of the breakfast still waiting on the table, drawing a few timid smiles from some of the children. Mary felt warmth bloom within her. Joy intertwined with hope, each soul was a vital thread, and together they formed a beautiful tapestry, vibrant despite the phrase. Suddenly, a voice broke through the laughter. Caleb, a teenager from the village, stood, a look of determination in his eyes. "Mary, what if we organized moments for prayer outside the chapel? We can reach those who feel lost. We could bring heavenly light to our streets." A cheer echoed, uplifting spirits as ideas flowed like a river. Partnerships sprang forth, youth mentors, gathering support groups, outreach initiatives, each one birthed from the wellspring of newfound faith. This was the brass bell of transformation, a wake-up call for the weary. As the plans took shape, an undeniable energy swirled through the room. They were not just igniting faith, they were nurturing it in one another. Yet still, a still, small voice echoed in Mary's heart, a tugging reminder that not all stories are free from trials. What if some did not welcome their light? What of those who clung to the shadows? The thought nestled itself in her mind, a seed of worry taking root. Yet before she could voice her concern, she felt it, the same warmth that enveloped her earlier, washing over her once more. "It's time," Mary whispered the gentle assurance. It rolled through her like a soft wave against the shore, urging her to step forward. As she looked around, fresh faces now filled the chapel, curious souls drawn to the pulsing heart of faith within the community. The air was alive with possibility, but the path wasn't clear. Was this the start of something great? What lay ahead? Would they hold fast to their promise of unity? Mary exhaled deeply, an invitation to all around her. "Friends, together we shall discover. What is next? Together, we shall find the strength to face whatever comes our way." But before she could finish, a gust of wind blew through an open window, carrying a hint of what was yet to unfold. A challenge whispered in her heart, a question left hanging in the air, inviting need for deeper faith. What new trials awaited them? Would the flame of their devotion withstand the trials beyond their horizon? The wind rustled softly, sweeping the crisp scent of autumn through the chapel. It wrapped around each person like a gentle embrace, mingling nostalgia with anticipation. Mary took a moment to let the air wash over her. She felt the congregation's heartbeat. Hope fluttered with a hint of apprehension, a dance between the known and unknown, light and shadow. With renewed resolve, Mary spoke again. "Let us gather here in the light of God's promise. Together, we can face any storm." Her words wrapped around them, settling like dew on grass, refreshing and vital. Each face reflected a yearning, a desire to leap into the deep waters of faith and courage. She sensed their collective spirit, a bond forged in the fires of doubt, but tempered by love. Yet, As Caleb's voice still echoed, Mary's heart tightened at the thought of the shadows lingering just beyond the chapel walls. What awaited them outside? Would the light they shared illuminate the streets? Or would it be met with indifference, or worse yet, hostility? She stole a glance at the open windows, watching the autumn leaves swirl and flutter, feeling a deep connection to this cycle of change. Then an idea sparked within her, a divine inspiration nestled in the back of her mind, a call to action. What if we don't just pray? She suggested, a hint of excitement bubbling in her voice. What if we also serve? Let us not only bring light, but also be the hands and feet of God. Imagine if we took this spirit of unity beyond these walls, the joy we can spread through acts of kindness, gathering those in need close to our hearts. Caleb, eyes bright, nodded vigorously. Yes, we can cook meals, plant gardens, give blankets to those without homes. The love we carry can warm a cold night. His excitement was magnetic, drawing in others who began whispering, brainstorming, and affirming his passionate suggestions. Amongst the congregation, whispers morphed into determined discussions. Ideas flew like brightly colored kites on a breezy day, and Mary hoped they would take flight. And yet, still, worry snaked around her heart. Not all would welcome their goodwill. Would their joyful outreach be met with open arms, or would they find stone-cold hearts? Someone finally broke through her thoughts. It was Sarah, a young mother who had only recently begun to attend the chapel. What if we share our stories, our struggles as we serve? It could show people they're not alone. There's power in vulnerability. Mary felt her spirit soar at the thought. This was it, the answer to her unasked question. That's beautiful, Sarah. Opening up can break barriers. It can build bridges when hearts can relate. If we weave our stories with service, we can connect on a deeper level. She glanced around at the eager faces filled with purpose. The energy pulsed with a divine undercurrent, drawing them closer to the heart of God's calling. There was a unison of belief, a communal anticipation of what was to unfold. Yet, the familiar whisper still echoed what challenges lay ahead. As if to answer her, a large storm cloud rolled across the sky, darkening the light that poured through the windows. A thunderclap rumbled distant yet foreboding. Some faces flickered with apprehension, but others leaned forward, eyes glinting with determination. Friends, Mary spoke, her voice steady. Light never shines brighter than when it's pressed against darkness. We will hold fast and trust in God's promise. She raised her hands, the energy around her shifting to something tangible, uplifting. The murmur of inspired voices filled the room once more, but Mary felt a stirring deep within her. There was more to this call. Together, we shall embolden one another, share our stories, and step into the world. We will shine brightly. But what awaits us out there? What shapes our journey will take? As the wind continued to swirl, the congregation responded, their voices feeding an ever-growing flame of faith. Each one eager to step onto the path ahead, unaware of the trials and grace that awaited them beyond the walls of the chapel. What challenge would they face first in their outreach? Would they find the waters welcoming or harsh? As the storm clouds rolled closer, the congregation buzzed with a mingled sense of eagerness and unease. Mary felt the palpable tension. Their collective spirit was a living thing, poised at the edge of something profound. Let us venture outside, she encouraged, her voice ringing with a familiar warmth. Let us embrace whatever comes and hold on to the light together. With a deep breath, Mary took the first step towards the chapel doors, feeling the weight of 1,000 moments behind her. Fear and anticipation intertwined, creating an electric current that sent shivers down her spine. She glanced back at the congregation, their faces bright with determination. But she knew the moment they pushed open the doors, they would enter a world starkly different from their sheltered sanctuary. The gust of wind hit them like a wave as they stepped outside. The air was thick with the scent of rain, and the dark clouds above loomed higher, casting ominous shadows. Yet, amid that heaviness, a flicker of hope stood tall. Mary and her brave companions scattered into small groups, each carrying baskets filled with food and blankets, ready to face the unknown. "Now, let us find those in need," whispered Caleb as he nudged Mary's side, his eyes bright with purpose. They ventured down the street, the rhythmic sound of their footsteps merging with the distant rumble of thunder. The community stretched before them, revealing streets filled with both vibrant life and quiet despair. "Look," Sarah called out, pointing toward a small park where a young man sat alone on a bench, head bowed against the weight of the world. "What if we start there?" Mary felt her heart quicken. They approached slowly, their presence warm like a candle flickering in the darkness. "Hello," Mary said softly, kneeling beside the man. "We noticed you and wanted to share something with you. May we help?" His eyes, dull and weary, lifted slowly to meet hers. "Why would you want to help me?" "Strangers usually turn away," he replied, skepticism etched across his face. Mary shared a gentle smile, recalling the shared stories that had kindled her own faith. "Because we believe in the light within each of us. We all carry burdens, and it's often in sharing them that we find solace and strength. You're not alone." There was a beat of silence, and then something remarkable happened. The young man's expression shifted, a hint of disbelief replaced by longing. "I've been fighting my demons alone. I didn't think anyone would care." Sarah knelt beside Mary, reaching out with her hand. "We care. We all have stories, you know. We are here to listen, to share warmth and kindness." With that, she handed him a blanket, her eyes filled with compassion. As he took it, Mary felt shivers of a sacred ripple through the air. The wind seemed to carry their words like seeds, ready to bloom in this troubled heart. The young man broke into a smile, and with it, the storm clouds began to lift just a little. Hope was tangible, wrapping around them tighter than before. With every story shared, another shadow receded, each act of kindness lighting up the darkness. Windows opened, hearts softened, and they moved like a tide of grace through the community, touching lives in ways they had yet to fathom. But in the midst of their joyful outreach, a deep rumble echoed from within the clouds, calling attention back to the ominous sky. What forces were at play, hiding in the winds? Would the storm pass without striking? Mary couldn't shake the feeling that their mission was only beginning, that the deepest challenges were yet to come. As they turned to offer help to another, Mary caught a glimpse of the darkened skyline. A premonition gripped her heart. What test would they face next? With faith kindled in one hand and uncertainty in the other, they continued to serve, chasing shadows away with every laugh, every story shared. But as they pressed forward, what storm would rise to meet them next? And would their light withstand the fury of the world? As they continued their journey through the streets, each step felt heavier, burdened with an unshakable feeling of something waiting just beyond the horizon. The air crackled, tension hanging like heavy mist around them. Still, the young man's smile pushed through the clouds of worry, a flicker of divine light sparking hope. "Let us head toward the community center," suggested Caleb. "There are often families gathering there, and this storm could hit harder than we anticipate." Mary nodded, her heart swelling at Caleb's resolve. They pressed onward, their footprints echoing against the pavement as the wind howled and clouds roiled above. Occasionally, a distant clap of thunder would reverberate through the air, echoing the turmoil brewing within. They reached the community center just as the first drops of rain began to fall. A few families were already crammed inside, their expressions a blend of anxiety and anticipation. Mary felt the warmth of their gathered spirit, strong even in their worry. She approached a mother holding her young daughter, whose eyes were wide and filled with fear. "Can we come in and share with all of you?" Mary asked, her tone soothing. "Would you like to lend a hand?" The mother sighed with relief, nodding gratefully, and Mary sensed a deep-rooted trust forming. As they introduced their mission, the tension in the room slowly began to lessen. Stories flowed freely of fears, of hardships, of the burdens they carried. Mary moved among them, sharing stories of hope that she and her friends had encountered on their journey. With each shared laugh, the storm clouds seemed to retreat slightly, letting beams of light pierce through. Just as the clouds move, so too can our burdens shift, she encouraged, imbuing her words with warmth. Together, we can carry the weight. As the rain began to pour, the sound drummed against the roof, a reminder of the struggles they all faced. The atmosphere was charged with a strange blend of joy and worry. Mary noticed the young girl, still clinging to her mother's leg, her face etched with confusion. "Can I tell her a story?" Mary asked, pointing gently to the child. The mother nodded, her eyes glistening with unspoken gratitude. "Once upon a time, there was a tiny seed buried in the dark earth," Mary began. It felt alone and afraid, not knowing that its true strength lay hidden within. With time, the rain came, the sun shone, and slowly that seed began to sprout. It grew into a beautiful flower, bringing color and joy to those around it. The little girl's eyes brightened, her imagination unlocking a world of possibilities. Mary saw the shift, the heaviness in the room lightened. In that moment, the storm outside felt less daunting. Then the room grew quiet as the sound of thunder rumbled again, louder, more insistent. The air felt electric, the tension returning as if wrapped in a cloak of apprehension. It was then the ground beneath them trembled slightly, a reminder that they were still very much at the mercy of the storm. "Do you feel that?" Caleb whispered to Mary, tension creeping back into his voice. A moment of stillness enveloped the room, a holy suspension filled with the essence of their shared purpose. Mary felt something shift deep within her soul, a whisper of divine presence stirring the air. What if the storm isn't just around us? She pondered aloud, a sense of urgency weaving her words. What if it's also within us? As her words hung in the air, a palpable energy coursed through them all. Could it be that this storm was not merely a test of their physical strength, but a profound challenge to face the tempest within their hearts? A low rumble echoed, drawing their eyes toward the windows now splattered with rain. The intensity in the room thickened, uncertainty swirling like the storm outside. What would come next? Could they withstand the rising tides within themselves? Or was there light enough to illuminate even the darkest corners? With their faith trembling on the edge of discovery, they braced themselves for what lay ahead. And thus, in the growing storm, they prepare to confront the most tempestuous of trials, their own hearts and souls in the womb of uncertainty. As the tremors beneath their feet subsided, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. The room was alive with the heartbeat of shared human experience. Each face bore the marks of worry, yet each smile carried the beauty of hope. It was in that moment that Mary understood they weren't merely withstanding the storm. They were in the midst of something sacred. "Let us join together," she proposed, her voice rising above the soft patter of rain. "In this space, we can share not only our fears, but also our prayers." Caleb nodded, the light in his eyes flickering like a candle in the wind. The gathered families turned to each other, minds whispering, hearts asking the same quiet question. How could they transform this moment of fear into an experience of faith? One by one, voices began to rise, hesitant at first, but growing stronger as they encouraged each other. A father spoke of his job uncertainty. Another mother shared of the illness that had settled upon her loved ones, and a young man recounted the fear that twisted in his stomach each time thunder rumbled. "We are all connected," Mary reminded them gently. "Just as we suffer in storms, we also rejoice in the light." There was a ripple of agreement, a soft chorus of affirmations. People closed their eyes, some clasped hands, while others simply floated still amid the chaos, finding stillness in shared spirit. The sound of rain became a symphony, each drop a note of comfort in their sacred gathering. Mary felt an overwhelming warmth filling the room, as if the Holy Spirit was stirring the air around them. She began to pray, her words woven together with the tremors of vulnerability and strength echoed from the group. "Lord, may we accept the storms as part of our journey. Help us find meaning in our trials, peace in our hearts, and joy amidst sorrow." And just as she uttered those words, the lights flickered briefly before plunging the room into darkness, a gasp rippling through the crowd. Hearts raced, and Mary's own pulse quickened. "Do not fear," she called out, her voice unwavering. "Even in darkness, our light can shine brighter. Remember the seed. Even when buried, it believes in growth." And then, as if the very heavens answered her declaration, a single beam of light shone through the community center windows, illuminating a statue of an angel standing guard in the corner. It was a powerful symbol of divine hope amid chaos, and gasps of awe filled the space. "Look," Caleb exclaimed, pointing toward the light. "God is with us, even in the storm." With newfound courage, a woman stepped forward. "What if we each take turns sharing our inner storms? Together, we can pray for strength while lifting those burdens in prayer." There was a stirring around the room. People began to share not only fears, but also their battles against despair, anger, and loneliness. Each confession brought another flicker of the divine light into the hearts of the listeners. Mary sensed a shift, and the weight of the storm that pressed on them began to lift. They were no longer just families caught in a tempest. They had transformed into a community. Together, they were choosing faith instead of fear. As they prayed, thunder rolled, but it felt less like a threat now. It was simply a reminder that storms would come and go, but they had a choice in how they faced them together. In that sacred moment, whispers of strength completed the prayers, and pockets of peace bloomed like spring flowers in winter's shadow. What did it mean to trust this growing light within them? They were at the verge of discovery, hearts alight with the possibilities of faith and connection. And then, at the zenith of their unity, a strange quiet descended. The door creaked open, the wind wailing like a cry for attention. Outside, the storm loomed larger, casting shadows deeper still. What if the real battle is just beginning? Caleb pondered aloud. With that echo hanging in the air, their collective gaze turned toward the darkness outside where the storm raged, but where they would soon confront even greater depths of their own. Spiritual awakening. What awaited them beyond that threshold? The place where fear could either shatter or strengthen their faith. The wind howled, brisk and unyielding, as if it sought to penetrate their gathered warmth. Mary's heart raced, but a stillness filled the room that pushed fear to the corners of her mind. "We need to take a step forward," she said, her voice resonating with newfound confidence. Caleb, emboldened by the angel's light, took a breath as he stepped closer to the door. "What if we face this storm together?" he suggested, glancing back at the group. "We can't let the fear of the darkness extinguish the light we found here." A spirit of courage washed over them, spurring others to rise. A mother nodded, taking her child's hand. "Together then, we stand united even when the winds howl wild." As they moved toward the door, an electric tension crackled in the air. No longer individuals encumbered by burdens, but a collective spirit ready to face the unknown. The light illuminating the angel shifted, casting dancing shadows on the walls as if urging them onward. Something powerful is happening, Mary thought, recognizing the swell of energy in the gathering. It was time to act. They were no longer simply waiting for the storm to pass. They were entering it, determined to navigate their way through pain toward healing. And then they stepped outside, where chaos collided with resolve. Rain pelted down, heavy drops pounding against them like a drumbeat of life. Each step forward felt monumental as the deluge enveloped them. But within that violent storm, there was an undeniable sensation of hope rising, an invitation to transcend their fears. The group moved together, hands interlinked. "This is where we are meant to be," Mary exclaimed over the tempest. "Together, we will find our faith stronger than the raging storm." The darkness loomed large, but within them flickered the memory of that radiant angelic light. Stories shared in the previous moments echoed in their hearts, weaving a tapestry of shared struggle that was now their armor. "Let us raise our voices," Caleb shouted amidst the chaos. Let our cries for help become a song of unity. We can ask for the strength to weather this storm. The community lifted their voices, harmonizing against the backdrop of the wind. Each shout, each prayer became a declaration of faith, merging into a beautiful offering to the heavens. The lyrics of their fears transformed into melodies of courage, flowing back to the God who listened. As they continued, something remarkable began to happen. The winds shifted slightly, as if bending to their collective faith. Pockets of calm began to form in the storm. The noise dwindled, and the rain eased ever so slightly. Mary felt a ripple of understanding wash over her, a divine revelation that sometimes storms serve to refine us. As the last verse of their newfound song echoed into the night, a sense of peace wrapped around them, a tangible gift amid the tempest. The clouds still loomed, yet they found hope growing stronger. "Do you see it?" one voice whispered, pointing toward the horizon where a faint shimmering glow began to outshine the darkness. Their eyes widened, and awe stilled their voices momentarily. What could this light mean? Mary wondered, the flicker of understanding sparking in her spirit. Could their faith, their shared burdens, actually yield such a transformative response? As they stood together in the storm's embrace, something profound hung in the air, beckoning them forward. The path was carved for their next journey, a divine mystery waiting to unfold. What awaited them within that glowing horizon? The answer shimmered like a promise, waiting to be touched. And so, deeper into the unknown, their steps led as they dared to hope once more. But as the light intensified, would it reveal paths they were yet unprepared for, or guide them to divine resolution? The experience was just beginning. The glowing horizon pulled at them like a magnet, drawing their hearts toward its warmth. Each step was a brave act of faith, pushing through both the rain-soaked ground and the lingering doubt in their minds. Mary felt a stirring deep within, a whisper from the Spirit urging her onward. "Keep going," she called out, and the group surged forward, buoyed by her conviction. The storm, which had once seemed to separate them, now mirrored their courage. The fierce winds transformed into a supportive breeze that nudged them gently along. As they advanced, the light grew brighter, revealing itself to be a luminous figure standing at the edge of the chaos. The figure was a presence, ethereal yet familiar, inviting them closer. It moved with a grace that was hard to understand, yet deeply comforting. Was it an angel, or something more, perhaps a divine essence wrapped in light? "Do not fear." The figure's voice resonated like soft thunder, filling their hearts with peace. "You have stepped forth in faith, and I am with you." Everyone felt it, a surging unity, a collective pulse of faith that throbbed in harmony with the sound of rain. They found themselves accepting that this journey was not solely about confrontation, but also about revelation. "We did not come to fight," Caleb spoke, voice steady despite the growing intensity surrounding them. "We came to trust. This storm has become our passage to something greater." A profound silence fell. His words hung in the air, resonating even with the wind. "It's true," whispered the mother holding her child, the fragile innocence mingling with strength in her words. "Whatever this light reveals, we will face it together." With the group's eyes locked on the figure, the light began to shift and swirl, transforming into visions swirling with color and emotion. Memories surfaced, moments of sorrow, joy, fear, and faith intermingling into a vivid tapestry. Each vision played out like a dream, echoing the challenges they had overcome as a community. Mary's heart raced as she recognized familiar faces in the glimmering scenes. Memories of laughter shared over meals, prayers whispered in the dark, and tears shed in times of need. They were fragments of a deeper connection, a divine interweaving of souls. As these visions danced before them, the figure beckoned them toward it. "This is your legacy," it said, each word wrapped in a celestial rhythm. A light so strong in its love that even amidst trials, you find strength in each other. Tears brimmed in Mary S. eyes, washing away remnants of doubt. She felt the weight lift from her heart. Together, she murmured, fully grasping the gravity of their unity. This is about us, about what we built together. Suddenly, the winds shifted again, now a joyful chorus instead of a tempest. Laughter melded with their songs, a divine jubilee in the air. The worries that had clouded their minds began to dissolve, revealing a simplicity and faith they had almost forgotten. "Can you feel it?" Caleb shouted, his joy infectious. "Whatever comes next, we can carry this light with us. We are stronger than we ever realized." But just as quickly as their joy surged, shadows flickered at the edge of the light, a reminder that the storm was still present, even if muted by their resolve. The beckoning light whispered promises of deeper truths yet to be unearthed. A sudden thought struck Mary. What lies beyond this horizon? What tests await us? And how might we encounter them together? Questions abounded as they stood poised at the threshold of new revelations. Bound by love and hope, the journey was still unfolding, their divine story not yet complete. And so, they took a step closer, ready to plunge into the luminous mysteries beyond, trusting the light to guide them forward. What divine lessons awaited them in the light's embrace? Would they emerge transformed, reflecting the very essence of love they had shared? The light enveloped them like a warm blanket, soothing their fears as they took a collective step into the unknown. Mary felt something shift deep within her soul, a certainty rippling through her heart. In this moment, betwixt light and shadow, they were ready, charged with faith that had been forged in the fires of uncertainty. "Here we go," Caleb shouted, excitement bursting in his voice. The others echoed his enthusiasm, and together they stepped fully into the glowing presence that awaited them. "What do you seek?" the divine figure asked, radiating love that melted the burdens they carried. The heartbeat of the congregation synchronized in that sacred space, a chorus of hopeful hearts ringing out in unison. "Clarity," Mary cried out, her voice strong. "We long for understanding, both for ourselves and for those we are called to serve." The figure nodded, acknowledging their courage. "You have stepped through the storm, challenging the shadows that sought to pull you apart. In this light, you will uncover the gifts hidden within each trial. They are not just burdens, but treasures meant to bring forth compassion, connection, and purpose." As the figure spoke, visions swirled around them once more, illuminating lessons from their journey. They saw moments of doubt transformed into opportunities for growth. Faces filled with sadness reflected light when held by each other. Sorrow turned into laughter as they shared their stories and vulnerability. The atmosphere buzzed with an electric current, alive with divine promise. "You are not merely individuals," the figure continued. "You are a tapestry, woven with love and intent. Your faith serves as a beacon for others who walk in darkness." Tears flowed down Mary's cheeks as she embraced the understanding of their intertwined lives. Each moment they spent lifting one another illuminated their path, igniting a deeper love. Together, she whispered, "We carry the light." "Indeed," the figure affirmed, "but there will be challenges ahead. Remember, the deepest journeys often bear the sweetest fruits." With that, a radiant light cascaded upon them, imprinting warmth in their souls. As the brilliance enveloped them, Mary felt clarity rising like the dawn over the horizon. "We will face whatever comes," she declared, feeling emboldened. "We will extend this love into our community, reaching those in despair, warming souls with the simple act of caring." Suddenly, the winds began to change, a soft breeze brushing against their skin. The figure shimmered, gesturing toward the oncoming storm clouds, still visible on the outskirts. "The storm outside mirrors the battles within. Be prepared, for hearts can wander even in light. Remind yourselves of all you hold dear, all that binds you together, and trust the love that flows through. Let us not shy away," Caleb added, fire igniting in his spirit. "This is our moment to shine. We'll keep loving even when it's hard." A murmur of agreement swept through the group, a simple yet powerful declaration that gave birth to unity. As they stood in that shining light, visions of possibilities opened up. They envisioned themselves moving across town, loving their neighbors, stirring hope in the hearts of the weary, and washing the feet of those who had felt unseen. The energy surged, a shared dream ignited by their collective faith. With courage swelling in their chests, they took a step back toward the darkness, determined to shine their light upon the world they were about to re-enter. Mary felt invigorated, urging her friends forward. Let us take this light and share it. There is so much work ahead. And as they opened the doors once more, a renewed sense of duty swept across them. The rain fell heavier, but laughter began to pour from their lips, an unexpected song birthed from their hearts. In the face of uncertainty, they chose hope, their faith swaying like trees in a gentle breeze. Yes, here we go, they called, hearts beating in unison, courage propelling them forward as the storm met their striking resolve. Bringing forth each testimony as light to share, they stepped into the downpour, hands linked, spirits soaring high. The essence of their journey had just begun. They would bear witness to the beauty of faith, make multiplying disciples, and ripple out the courage that love begets. There would be trials and storms, but the connections formed in the warmth of that radiant light would guide them. And so they continued into the unfolding dawn, believing in each other, believing in love and the promise of tomorrow, as they carried the eternal light that had transformed their very souls. This was not merely an end, but a divine beginning fueled by unwavering faith, the path painted brightly by 1,000 acts of love, yet to unfold now. Beloved friends, this is your call to action. You need to subscribe. Now, don't wait even one more second or risk missing the next exclusive faith stories that will inspire your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, spreading this precious message to those who need it most. Your support truly makes a difference. Comment your reactions and testimonies about the journey you've just experienced. We want to hear your voices in this faith community. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Let us illuminate the world together. Be the spark that ignites faith and hope. Go forth and take action today.